Welcome to the Speaking Deacon Show. I am David Lawson, or on other platforms, I'm the American Hoochie Man. I'm on X, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, on most of all social media, Instagram. I'll be posting this on YouTube, but then sharing it to X and Facebook. And you can go to YouTube anytime and watch this. So we're gonna recap week 2. And we'll start with Wake Forest versus Western Carolina. Wake won convincingly, 42-10. Claiborne exploded with 193 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ashford added a 51-yard bomb. So now we'll go to the other scores and recap. North Carolina State versus Virginia. As you know, I picked uh, Virginia to win this one, but I lost it. North Carolina State was the actual winner. North Carolina State won 35-31. Wolfpack rallied late. Smothers and Bailey sealed it. Syracuse versus UConn. I picked Syracuse and won. It went into overtime. 45. Oh, that's not the right score. But anyway, they won. I'll give you the score here in a minute. They put the wrong score down. I'll give you the right score. Let's see. Here. Let's go to my archives here. Let's just do it this way. Okay, it was Virginia. It was North Carolina State over Virginia 35-31. 35-31. And Syracuse, they won 27-20 and 2 overtimes. That's what that should be, 27-20. Georgia Tech and Gardner-Webb. Georgia Tech beat Gardner-Webb 59. The 12, 59-12. Haynes King bounced back. Defense forced 3 turnovers. SMU lost to Baylor 48-45. Jennings had 3 touchdowns, but turnovers cost them. Then we had Pitt versus Central Michigan. Pitt won that game 45-17. And UNC beat Charlotte 20-3. Miami defeated Bethune-Cookman 45-12. Tech lost to Vanderbilt 44-20. That score is correct. Led 20-10 at halftime, collapsed in the second half. That's more than a familiar face. California versus Texas Southern. Cal won that game 35-3. And Boston College lost to Michigan State 42-40. And also Stanford lost to BYU 27-3. BYU's run game dominated. Stanford gave up 250 yards rushing in that game. So that's pretty much the recap. I have to go back over these scores because they didn't write this down correctly. But anyway, that's the Big Time Picks Week 2 recap results for 2025. Now we go to the scouting report. The scouting report for this coming week is started with Wake Forest versus North Carolina State. I'm picking it's Claiborne's Burst on-field edge versus a Wolfpack team that struggles early. Wake's tempo and explosive plays could flip the spread. What do you think? I think that Wake Forest's week 1 to 2 was fabulous. Even though they got some more cleanup to do, they got things they need to work on. Everybody does from week to week. I think they made a clear statement in that game. Then we got Syracuse and Colgate. Colgate's defense gave up 400 plus yards per game last year. Syracuse should cruise. Then we got Georgia Tech versus Clemson. Jackets lead the FBS in red zone scoring. Clemson's offense is sluggish and turnover prone. SP gives Tech a 51% upset chance. But I think Georgia upset chance, and it's going to be another close game unless Georgia Tech and Haynes King rolls, because Troy did a pretty good job of taking over 16-3 to start the game, but then Troy's defense gave out, and I guess they just wore them down. Not enough depth, but not Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech will be at home opener against Clemson. And then we got Virginia versus William & Mary. UVA's offense put up 5+ yards against North Carolina State. SP projects a 40-12 win with a 96% win probability. SMU versus Missouri State, same thing. SMU's offense ranks top 30 in passing and scoring. Missouri's defense ranked in the bottom and nationally. So SMU should cruise in this one. Pitt over West Virginia, backyard brawl. Holston's 8 touchdowns in 2 games. Western offense and run heavy, but Pitt's defense ranks top 15. So I'm picking. See what I'm picking. I'm actually in my next segment. My next segment, I'll do the big time picks. UNC versus Richmond. Belichick got their first win over Charlotte, and they should get their second win when they face Richmond's defense, who gave up 400 plus yards per game. Well, whatever, UNC is going to win this one. Um, Miami versus South Florida. Is a USF already upset Florida? Can they upset Miami? Miami's talent edge will, but this one's spicy, and so we're going to see how that goes. And my scouting bark. So this is what this segment is. My scouting bark. Then we got Virginia Tech versus Old Dominion. Hokies are double-digit favorites. ODU run game is strong, but Virginia Tech's red zone efficiency and home field matter, and so Old Dominions know Vanderbilt, and they should win it. I'll take the under on that one. Duke facing Tulane. I'm taking Duke. Tulane's a slight favorite over Duke, but I think Duke's defense can hold Tulane more than because Tulane is not Illinois. So I'm taking Duke, and I'm also taking the Gophers are a slight favorite. Cal's offense is balanced, but they say that Minnesota's defense is stingy. It could go either way. I'm let you know on my next segment who I'm picking there. Then we got Boston College versus Stanford. BC's passing attack ranks second nationally. Stanford's offense is bottom tier, and they are turnover prone. Turnover prone. So when we get to our next segment, we were going to talk about the SEC big time picks. So before we go to my SEC football big time picks on week 3, let's go to the Vegas odds here. Let's see what they say about each game here. So this game, for our first game, is going to be Thursday. This Thursday on ESPN nationally, North Carolina State will be at Wake Forest. This is usually a tight game between these two. North Carolina State is favored by 7.5, with a total of 53.5 over and under. I'm actually, over and under. Then Friday we got Colgate at Syracuse. Colgate hasn't won a game. Syracuse is 1-1, beating UConn in overtime. That was a tight game back and forth. Then we go to our 4 matchups for Saturday, September the 13th. Clemson at Georgia Tech. Clemson is a 4.5 point favorite. I have doubts about that one. Clemson's 1-1. Georgia Tech is 2-0. They seem to be rolling right now with Haynes King and company. And that'll be on ESPN, 12 p.m. Also a 12 p.m. game on AC Network. William and Mary at Virginia Tech, both 1-1. There is no line on that one, but I don't see any problem with Virginia taking down William and Mary. Then we got a pretty good one here, but should be lopsided. It's 3:30 p.m. game on CBS SN. It's SMU 1-1 at Missouri State 1-1. SMU is a 27.5 favorite. That'll be at the Robert W. Plaster Stadium in Springfield, Maryland. No, I'm sorry, Springfield, Missouri. Then at 3:30 on ESPN, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, backyard brawl. Pitt is a 5.5-point favorite. That'll be in Morgantown, West Virginia. Then we got another 3:30 game on AC Network. Richmond and North Carolina both 1-1, but no line on that one. North Carolina should take that one by ease. Then we got a 4:30 game on the CW Network. South Florida at number 18, South Florida at number 5, Miami. Miami is a 16.5-point favorite. That'll be at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Garden, Florida. 7 p.m. on AC Network. Old Dominion versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is, well, they're only 7.5-point favorites. So Old Dominion, that could be an upset brewing right there. Duke and Tulane. Tulane is 2-0. Duke is 1-1. The spread is Tulane by 3.5. 10:30 p.m. It's Minnesota, California. Minnesota by 2.5. And Boston College will be at Stanford. Another West Coast game. Another late game at 10:30 on the ACC Network. They got BC favored over Stanford, which they should, by 10.5. I think Boston College will win by more than that. So we're going through all the Vegas odds and all that stuff. Now let me give you my picks, which I do every year. Yeah, but this is different. This is going to be on my Speaking Deacon show, and I'll try to get it out online like I did before. If I don't, then you can come back here and see what I've picked. Okay, here we go. My ACC football big time picks on week 3, 2025. We know the matchup is Wake Forest will be versus North Carolina State, and I'm picking Wake. Demon Deacons outscripted the Blue Devils. Demond Claiborne is just running wild, and Robbie Ashford has got the number. And then we got other players that'll key. I mean, I just think that Wake's got more to offer than North Carolina State. And I'm taking Wake Forest. Syracuse versus Colgate. Syracuse. Orange Crush incoming. Colgate gets wrenched, and when they go to brush their teeth, there ain't gonna be no teeth because Syracuse is gonna just rinse your mouth out. Georgia Tech versus Clemson. I'm picking Georgia Tech. Bold call, but Tigers, they say, are likely to claw back. But I think that Clemson's not going to call back. I mean, they got some issues, and that's with the defense, and they bogged down. They can't score. They didn't score a whole lot in this last game. They scored 27 points. Georgia Tech has racked up points. They beat Colorado. So that's why I'm going with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is my pick. Virginia versus William Mary, that story. Virginia, they'll hold court, and there ain't gonna be no Colonel comeback. I'm picking SMU over Missouri State. Mustangs will gallop past the Bears. Then we got the backyard brawl. Goes blue and gold. Pitt will win that one, and UNC will beat Richmond. Tar Heels bounce back. Spiders get squashed. They continue to surge UNC. Then we get a little better and better. How much better, we'll see. Miami versus South Florida. Bulls stampede. They're saying that the Bulls are going to stampede the Hurricanes. They're going to get gored, but I think Miami is going to beat South Florida. And I don't know how much, but I think Miami's a better team than Florida. and Florida they ain't never been that great. They've had ups and downs, and this is one of those years where they just don't have it. And that's the reason. And South Florida's usually pretty good every year, but Miami is going to beat South Florida. There ain't going to be no stampede. Then we got Virginia Tech versus Old Dominion. Hokies defend Lane Stadium. I think they defended pretty well this week. But what the score is? Well, I don't pick a score. I just know that Virginia Tech will win. Duke versus Tulane. Well, they're facing a Tulane team, but they're not facing Illinois. Duke has problems turning the ball over, but their defense needs to come around. The offense needs to shore up and to clean up their mistakes. But I believe they will, and I believe that Manny Diaz will have Duke ready for Tulane. I'm picking Duke. Blue Devils outdanced the wave. That's my segment mark. California versus Minnesota. I'm picking California. Most people think I'm going to miss that one, but I think the Golden Bears won't stumble. They will grind it out against the Gophers. Because California's a different team. I don't think Minnesota's. It might be a battle, but we'll see what happens. So my last pick is Boston College will be at Stanford. Now I'm picking Boston College because Stanford ain't showed me anything yet. Stanford is the last place team. Is the last place team. And so I'm picking Boston College. Stanford's tree stands tall, and eagles stand their ground. So that is that is what it is. And that is my overall pick. So just to remind you all, the Jay Dicker show with Stan Cotton will not be at the Millers on Robin Hood this week. They'll be at the Plaza, at the Plaza, tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Whichever you get this, you might see this before or after, but that's the Millers on Robin Hood. But you will be able to see the Deacons Thursday night in Winston-Salem when North Carolina State Wolfpack comes to Winston-Salem. Wake has done pretty good in Winston against the Pack. They beat the Wolfpack last year in Raleigh, and they weren't even as good as they are now. And I do think they got more to offer than North Carolina State. And Wake's defense is much better. They're stingy, they're stingy. And I think C.J. Bailey's going to have his work cut out for him. And I believe that they'll slow down Hollywood Smothers. But it's going to be hard to they don't have the slow mess to prepare for it. And North Carolina State's going to have to prepare for a different Wake Forest squad. They got Robbie Ashford, Demon Claiborne, Barnett, and a lot of other players on defense. Devon Patterson, Nick Anderson. Wow, they're just loaded this year. Wake Forest is, and they're getting improving week to week. And last week they proved, even though it was against Western Carolina, even though West Carolina does have a good offense. It kind of reminds me of the way back in the years when Wake Forest had Gary Schofield and them. They had an awesome offense, but the defense was just nowhere there to be found. And then you normally had to outscore the other opponent. And sometimes they would have a good outing on defense and stop them, but they, they never went to bowl game very often until Jim Grubb got there. And every now and then they went. So, but this is a totally different Wake Forest team from past. This is the real deal, and Wake Forest is making a statement, and let's see if they continue to do that this Thursday. This Thursday, they will face NC State on ESPN. 7:30 is kickoff. ESPN. Both teams are 2-0. And forget about the spreads because so we'll see how that goes down. So be sure to tell your friends about the Speaking Deacon show. This is week 3. I'll be back here next week for the Speaking Deacon show. And remember that it starts on YouTube, and I'll share it on X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook. So, from David Lawson, also known as the American Hoochie Man, I wish everyone a great week. And as always, go DEACS, go ACC. It's going to be a great week for ACC football and college football in general. In general, stuff like that. So, goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Today is Monday, September the 8th. Got a few days before the kickoff of Wake Forest and North Carolina State. And be sure to listen to Stan Cotton, Larry Swartzen, and Dave Goin on the WBRF Rearfield Network on 98.1, wherever you can find Wake Forest at, on many different ways, the Varsity Network, on the radio, and just go ahead and find your thing. And so listen to him, Stan Cotton. You know, he called those plays, and he's done it for years, known him for 1,000 years, and I really appreciate all of them down there at Wake Forest University. So, you have a good night, have a good day, have a good week. God bless.